This generated video of flashing red server lights mirrors the alarm in developer forums as users encounter a shift in GitHub Copilot's billing. Programmers are finding that their next invoice looks very different from the last. GitHub is transitioning 15 million users off that flat $10 a month fee, moving on to a variable pay-as-you-go token model. That red zone filling the screen is your uncapped liability. It is a deliberate market correction. Compute power for AI is expensive, and Microsoft is passing those escalating server costs directly to the end user. The mechanism driving this cost is token-based billing. Instead of paying for the time you spend using the tool, you are now charged for the volume of text, every line of code and documentation sent to and received from the AI. Treating AI coding assistants like an all-you-can-eat buffet is over. From this week forward, writing code means actively managing a compute budget. Your immediate reaction is probably a strong temptation to abandon Copilot entirely. Competitors like Cursor or Claude Code look appealing when you want to escape a sudden billing spike. You have a tight wire to walk. You have to balance the workflow disruption of ripping out your current toolchain against the financial predictability of sticking with what you know. To figure out your next move, we are going to ignore the superficial features. We aren't looking at which AI has the prettiest syntax highlighting or the smoothest autocomplete. We are focusing strictly on the economic architecture beneath these tools. Choosing an IDE right now requires you to analyze your own risk tolerance and workflow economics, because a high performance score doesn't account for the cost of the tokens required to reach it. The primary culprit behind these sudden invoice spikes is the massive 100K context window. We're used to feeding entire code bases, massive library documentation, and dozens of open tabs into the AI all at once, so it understands the full picture of what we're building. The outcome is brilliant. The AI produces incredibly useful, complex code generation that saves you hours of manual debugging and typing. But the trade-off is steep. Every single file included in that massive context window consumes thousands of tokens every single time you hit enter on a prompt. This gauge shows how fast it adds up. Simple autocompletes barely move the needle, but heavy repo-wide queries obliterate your monthly budget. Now add agentic loops. The AI autonomously queries itself over and over, compounding your token spend exponentially without you touching the keyboard. The exact features making AI tools incredibly powerful are now the precise mechanisms designed to drain your budget the fastest. If you decide to stay on Copilot, your immediate priority is establishing hard financial guardrails. This UI mockup illustrates your first required action. You must navigate into your billing dashboard and set a strict, non-negotiable usage limit. A hard dollar cap protects you against waking up to a massive credit card charge caused by a runaway agentic loop operating in the background. The painful trade-off is that these guardrails introduce artificial bottlenecks directly into your development cycle. You will experience the friction of the AI suddenly shutting off right in the middle of a critical coding sprint because you hit your daily token cap. You'll have to stop coding and manually authorize more funds to get your assistant back. While guardrails prevent financial surprises, they effectively neuter the AI's highest value productivity features. You are forced into a workflow where you constantly monitor a fuel gauge instead of actually coding. The alternative is jumping ship to environments like Cursor or adopting Claude Code in your terminal. These competitors offer base models with predictable subscription tiers that shield you from variable token charges, at least for now. But you have to weigh those flat fees against migration friction. The hidden time cost of switching workflows eats directly into your productivity. You lose hours physically migrating your extensions, relearning muscle memory for keyboard shortcuts, and reestablishing custom development environments from scratch. This comparison matrix lays out the economic reality. Every one of these competitors operates under the same underlying compute cost pressures as GitHub. Today's cheap alternative is tomorrow's expensive token biller. At critical mass, they must adjust pricing to cover massive server costs. Migrating purely for temporary price relief is risky. Any switch you make must be justified by long-term workflow alignment, not a short-term discount on tokens. The correct path forward depends entirely on matching your daily workflow to the right economic model. Let's start with the budget-conscious solo dev or hobbyist. Your primary use case is light autocomplete, generating boilerplate, and basic syntax help. If that's you, stay on Copilot. The migration friction outweighs the minor token costs generated by simple, single-file code suggestions. Next is the solo power user, or agentic optimizer. You rely heavily on massive context windows and autonomous loops to build full applications quickly. This is the segment where the math points away from Copilot. It justifies the migration friction to utilize Cursor's premium tiers, capping your downside risk while still letting you run heavy workloads. Ignoring your specific usage profile and following the general panic will guarantee that you either waste your money or your time. Finally, we have enterprise teams and team leads responsible for managing the budgets of multiple developers. At the enterprise scale, collective cost predictability is vastly more valuable than any individual developer's preference for a specific tool. Enterprise leads need to lock in fixed enterprise-level agreements. Attempting to manage dozens of individual, unpredictable token pools across a large team will disrupt a quarterly budget. This decision tree visualizes your options. Map your primary workflow at the top and follow the logic down. Once you land on a box, take action. If staying, set financial limits today. If switching, map out your migration time. Do not make a reactionary switch based on internet panic. Let your personal ROI math dictate the move. AI is no longer a fixed utility. Managing your development environment now requires the same attention you would give to any other variable project budget.